Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning.
Welcome. Good morning. Ryan, you are Managing Director for Europe for DataShips, and I have a pleasure to have an interview with you. And I will have a few questions regarding your company, which is rapidly growing. I've read the news on the Irish Times. Would you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, no problem. So I suppose our company is called DataShips. It has nothing to do with ships. Even maybe the name suggests that it's meant to be a clever play on words between having good data relationships with your customers. That's what me and Michael tried to come up with when we designed the name. I don't think it's stuck with anyone. Everyone still thinks we have stuff to do with ships or holding data on ships and kind of boats. But that's who we are. We're a technology startup that specializes in automating a kind of GDPR and data privacy obligations. So, what does that mean? Basically what we do is, so every company out there that holds data on European citizens needs to adhere to GDPR. And there's a couple of really key things that you need to have on your web, particularly on your website. And we have designed a tool. It's a SaaS product that basically automates a lot of those things. So, the key things you're meant to have are things like a privacy policy, a good one that isn't copy and pasted, a cookies policy. You're meant to have a compliant cookies tool. It's very topical these days, especially in Ireland with the Irish GPC and the guidance that they've given on that. And the last thing you're meant to really have on your website, from kind of the essential perspective, is having somewhere where your users or your clients can get access to their data, or they can fulfill their data privacy rights. So our tool, we call it a privacy center. Not very original name, but that would live on a website, and it basically brings all those key items together into one shop, and we automate all that for our customers. So that's what we do. Probably need to work on the elevator pitch a bit more, but hopefully that clears it up.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. I've actually seen the product working. You showed me that some time ago, so I know that from the background. But for those who don't know, the government actually put a lot of pressure recently for business to have the GDPR in place. Do you know what are the fees and what is the situation at the moment in Ireland?
Yeah, so I suppose GDPR itself has been in place since May in 2018. So it's been around for almost 2.5 years now. It's been compared to, a lot of people I've spoken to compare to the Y2K bug. There's a big flurry about it back in 2018, but not a whole lot has happened since. But it's very much there. It wasn't a big bang that happened in 2018. It's a new way of living. In terms of how companies have to, I suppose, adhere to managing their clients' personal data and the process and all that they need to have in place. The bit you talked about earlier, kind of more recently, so the Irish Data Protection Commission is the body in Ireland that kind of regulates GDPR. So they published guidance in April this year, really around cookies. So, how cookies and online tracking and websites needed to be kind of adhered to. So it's not really talked to a lot in GDPR, but they're very correlated. But anyway, they published guidance on what websites need to be doing in terms of complying with cookies in April this year. They gave a 6-month grace period for companies to sort their stuff out, get their ducks in a row. So that grace period ended early October, and now they've kind of said they'll be actively out enforcing the guidance that they've given and making sure that companies are compliant. So it's, from that part of the law, having a compliant cookies tool on your website, it's very, very important because, people have almost been warned, by the commission. We're out there now and we're going to be checking to make sure you're compliant.
Okay, that's really important thing to have. For a business perspective, of course, if you have that all in place, you might actually avoid the fees. But in terms of business relation with their own customers, what are the benefits here on this side?
I suppose the obvious thing is, it's a legal requirement. So a lot of people, especially smaller businesses might say, I'm not going to get fined for that, I'm too small. But it's a need to have rather than a must have. So if you're a small business in Ireland and you have data on European citizens, you have to comply with it. So benefit number one is the really obvious one. You have to do it. I suppose the second one then is, as you said, you avoid, if you're not doing it, you avoid all the legal kind of repercussions of it. So, you won't get fines, you won't get customers complaining about you. But really the one that, we're kind of passionate about is, we sort of see it as a competitive advantage. Like you should be adhering to GDPR and being really open and transparent with your customers about what you're doing with their data. Like if you've nothing to hide, why aren't you just going to be transparent about it? So we always advocate that it's a really good way to build trust with your customers, because you're showing them this is what we have in you. If you want to edit stuff, delete stuff, feel free. It's your data. You manage it how you want. And that's how we've designed our tool. It's very customer centric, and we've built in the features in it that actually the customer can self-serve on their own data, as opposed to, having to constantly go to the company itself as a medium to kind of find out what's there and what's not there. Our tool puts the customer in the front seat, or in the driving seat rather, and they can, get access to everything they want in real time.
Yeah, that's actually really important, because the trust to the business when you are interacting with the website is the thing which is mainly the first thing. If you have access to your data, if you can finish the interaction, if your data stays there, who is using that, and etc. So that's very important. In terms of the small businesses, like a small and medium businesses, if I would imagine that, let's say I'm a yoga teacher and I have a list of customers already, what is the benefit and how can I use your tool to help me with my business?
Well, I suppose first and foremost, it's kind of like, GDPR applies to all companies, rather you're, a massive global conglomerate that has EU person or citizen data, or, you're a small sole trader, or, you're one-man band kind of yoga teacher. But I suppose essentially our tool, we almost equate it's a tool that would give you peace of mind. So, if you have a website, our tool would live on it. If you have a list of your customers' data, typically what happens is, you might have, say, 1,000 customers for someone that size. But you'll actually, without realizing, probably have their data in a number of areas. If you're a yoga teacher, you might use something like Glowfox or Mindbody as kind of your gym management platform where people can book in classes and stuff. You'll be holding their data there. You also might use a mailing tool like MailChimp, where you'd be sending marketing messages and things like that. You'll hold their data there. So what we do is we plug into first of all, we kind of explore with you where you're holding the data. Then we'll plug into all the sources that you have, and then connect that to our tool. So when you put our tool on your website, your customers will have access to everything there. So, all their rights, so from kind of a compliance perspective, all their rights will be fulfilled. So, that's kind of, you're covering off your customer side. But then you as a business, then by fulfilling your rights, you're compliant that way. But then we also help them out with their privacy policies, cookie policies, and probably some of the more technical compliance things, because like we actually deal with a lot of gyms and personal trainers. So they're not usually I mean this with respect, but they're not usually the people who, would know how to write a privacy policy or, a cookies policy. So we would write all that for them and make sure that, they're tailored to their business. They're not, standard templates that don't really talk to what they do. And, and we make sure that, especially the cookies thing, given it's so topical, we make sure they have the right cookies on their websites as well. So long-winded way of answering it, but everything they need to be doing, like the essentials and the basics, our tool will automate all that for them. So it gives them a huge sense of peace of mind. And again, coming back to their customers, they're being totally transparent with their customers about what they're doing with their data. So it should promote a healthy relationship with their customers there too.
Okay, thanks for that. You've mentioned the MailChimp. So if, let's say, somebody has already a list of, I know, a couple of thousands customers, and they have to manage that, but they need a lot of particular data. Let me think about an example. For the art school. Art school usually have like a list of people, including their age, their color hair, height, weight, like everything. And then in that case, if they don't have one place and one thing, one system operating under that, is your system able to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said in kind of one of the earlier questions, so depending on the applications they use, like our tool just connects into it. It's done through APIs. It's kind of a fancy technical term, but we just plug into their applications and, kind of whatever they use, it can plug and play into our system. It's fine that way. But I suppose in terms of MailChimp, like what your rule of thumb really is when you're sending out newsletters, and, it might not be newsletters, it might be kind of reminders and other things like that too. Yeah. to clients. Really, you need to have a good legal basis for why you're contacting them. So a lot of the time, that's just, you have consent from them when they've signed up to use your service. They kind of tick the I don't mind receiving newsletters option. So, but they might change their mind further down the line and say, they're kind of cluttering my mailbox. I don't really want to get them anymore. So tools like MailChimp are really good because they usually give an option to opt out of receiving the message at the bottom of the tool. So if a client decides to opt out, that's all kind of handled by MailChimp, but they can also use our tool as a fail-safe. So they're not using MailChimp or they're just kind of getting emails directly or from another application. Our tool is kind of like the fail-safe. So we'll make sure if, someone is ticked to, not be receiving newsletters across any application, we'll tell MailChimp, we'll tell all the other ones too, Magda or Ryan has, kind of they've revoked their consent to receive a newsletter. So we'll just make sure that it's turned off everywhere because, you'd be forgiven as a business if, you were sending them some newsletters on MailChimp and they've kind of ticked that one off, but then you have another system that you kind of forgot they're in too, and they're getting letters too. I suppose from the customer's perspective, they've asked it for it to be turned off. So you have to make sure as a business that everywhere else is turned off.
Yeah, that's actually true. I don't know if you face those situations that you're unsubscribed with something and then you're still receiving emails from the same company because that's like a different list and you haven't been aware of that. So yeah, that's definitely one of the pain points there. For your company, for DataShips, your target market is at the moment Ireland, or you're targeting like all countries within the EU? How does it work?
Well, I suppose we're actually following data privacy laws around the world. So obviously our initial market where we're getting the most traction is Ireland. So the core of our team is based here. And I suppose we can sell to the whole of the EU because, GDPR applies to the whole of the European Union. We have a base in San Francisco in the US. So CCPA, another 4-letter acronym. And that's the first data protection law that's come into effect in the United States. It's just for California only, but I suppose a lot of other states in the US are kind of in the process of enacting similar privacy laws. So we're over there too, selling to people over there. It's, there's a lot of common traits with GDPR in that law, but then there's also a lot of differences and subtleties that we've had to amend our tool or add kind of, different features to serve clients over in that part of the world. But, we're hopefully we'll hire some people soon who can speak Portuguese because Brazil's just announced a similar law too. So we're probably just going to, like GDPR, it's not known as this, but it is almost like the standard that is now evolving around the world in terms of data privacy. And we've kind of benchmarked our tool and our products to that. And then as new data privacy laws coming from around the world, we're adding on different features. So the aim is concentrate on Ireland and Europe first. As I said, we just started selling in the US and Canada. But we'll just gradually follow these laws around the world, and we'll try become a global company.
That's brilliant. That's a great plan for the future. Would you think that the COVID situation and the fact that people are more tending to use the online services, did that help expand your business, or did it really matter?
It definitely did. I think people are far more, in terms of business owners, they're far more conscious of it. I think Ireland actually has probably been one of the slower companies to come around to it. There's definitely an attitude in Ireland where, people will almost be following what their neighbor businesses are doing. So, the lad down the road kind of updates their privacy policy, gets a new cookies tool, then people kind of follow. The fines probably haven't been as quick and heavy in Ireland as, say, other jurisdictions around Europe, like Spain, for example. So it's been slower to kind of being adopted here, but we definitely have seen as more and more businesses are coming online and, people are engaging with the likes of yourselves and getting their websites up to date. Usually when they update their websites, they're also looking to kind of, get their GDPR practices sorted in the one go. So, they'll update their policies, get their cookies tools and all that kind of stuff in place. So it definitely has helped us grow from that perspective, but I still think Ireland's a bit behind the curve. There's a lot of the bigger companies have probably tackled GDPR and they're continuing to evolve, but there's still a huge amount of smaller kind of SME players out there that really probably haven't, tackled it head on just yet. They've probably done the bare minimum, but, I think a lot of companies need to start thinking about how rather than just complying with the law, just ticking the box, what's their long-term strategy for GDPR? And more now as people have come online, we're starting to see companies think that way. So, a lot of them realize it's, probably a little bit easier for them internally to outsource this problem to, say, a provider like ours or someone else, and let them to manage it for them, so they can, get on with what they do best and running their own business.
Yeah, that's kind of also, I think, mindset issue. If you want to be focused on what you're actually doing in your business, or like doing everything what is involved in your business, and the size, of course, also. Would you have any idea how big are the fees if somebody is not compliant here in Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they do have very prescriptive levels. So I think there's 2 tiers of levels of fine within GDPR. So, it can go up to kind of 20 million euros or 4% of your revenue from the previous year. That's kind of the highest tier. The tier below that is kind of 10 million and a certain percentage of your revenue from the year before. So, if you're a huge company like a Google or something like that, the fees could be massive. I think in France, Google were fined 50 million by the French regulator. But for smaller companies, they would usually be the benchmarks they will be fined. So, for SMEs, I suppose the Irish Data Commission or when Ireland would set the fine, it could either be a fixed amount or a percentage of revenue. And it probably, for smaller companies, we've seen things from kind of, a couple of €100 to kind of 40 or 50,000 euro in other countries for smaller pharmacies and things like that. So it really, really depends on, I suppose, the type of the breach, or I suppose the area that they've not complied with the law, and how many people have kind of been adversely affected by it. So I couldn't give you a straight answer on what it would be, but the scale of the fees will depend on the scale of the company, and then also how badly they've kind of breached the law really.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but from the other hand, taking the money apart, it's as we said on the very beginning of the conversation, the trust is here on the table. In that case, most of the things taken. Okay.
Yeah, you can get reputational damage and stuff, that the fine itself mightn't be the worst part about it. If you do get a breach, like there's certainly the reputational damage bit in there that's hard to quantify. You're more than likely it's going to hit the press. I mean, probably every second day you're hearing about a data breach, and it doesn't do good things for a company if your company's name is on top of that news story.
Yeah, like not being trustworthy. That's one of the worst scenario, I guess, for the business, which operates mostly on the trust and good values. Okay, thank you so much for all the information regarding the law and the GDPR and data ships. The very last question: what you want to achieve within the next 2 years for data ships, and how do you look at yourself growing?
Well, there's probably what I want and what I think is realistic. We'd obviously want to be, a huge player globally, from kind of a GDPR technology perspective. But I think for us, it's about, we probably, with our recent funding round, we probably secured our future. So for us, it's all about growth now. So we have the product. It's, we're pretty happy with where it is. It's stable. Now it's just about getting it out in the market and getting people using it. So we really ramped up our kind of sales and marketing activities. So over the next year or so, we want to kind of be probably growing at 20 to 25% every single month for the next year. And then the year after that, we probably want to establish ourselves better in markets, say in the UK, for example, and then also have a bigger presence in the US. And of course, have double the team, triple the team in size, and have more people working for us. That's really the goal.
That's amazing. That's a great plan. All the best with that. Fingers crossed for DataShips and for you. Thank you so much for today. All the best. Have a great weekend.
You too, Magda. Thank you very much.